Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us in the study of Srimadbhagavatam. Today we'll be covering Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 89. Arjuna and Lord Kṛṣṇa retrieve a Brāhmaṇa's sons. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girdharidhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha ग्रंथराज Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Gauri Vaishnavind ki jai. Please join us for the invocation prayers. Let's do it together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet. Shrotam Swakatha Kṛṣṇa Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Please join us for the recitation of the first verse of Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 89. Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna retrieves a Brāhmaṇ's sons. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Sarasvatyashtate Rajan.
Sarasvatyastate Rajan.
Rishaya Satramasata.
Rishya Satramashata.
Vitarka Samabhutesham.
Vitarka Samabhutesham.
Trishvadisheshu ko mahan.
Trishvadisheshu ko mahan.
Please.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Sarasvatyastate Rajan.
Sarasvatyastate Rajan.
Rishya Satramasata.
Rishya Satramasata.
Vitarka Samabhutesham.
Vitarka Samabhutesham.
Trishvadhisheshu ko mahan.
Trishvadisheshu ko mahan. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shukdev Goswami said,
Shukdev Goswami said,
Sarasvatyaha,
Sarasvatya,
of the river Saraswati,
of the river Saraswati,
Tate,
Tate,
on the bank,
on the bank,
Rajan,
Rajan,
O King Parikshit,
O King Parikshit,
Rishiyaha,
Rishya,
sages,
sages,
Satram,
Satram,
a Vedic sacrifice,
a Vedic sacrifice,
Asata,
Asat,
were performing,
Vitarkaha,
a disagreement, Samabhut, arose, Tesham, among them, Trishu, among the three, Adhisheshu, chief lords, Kaha, who, Mahan, the greatest. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Shukdev Goswami said, once, O king, as a group of sages were performing a Vedic sacrifice on the banks of the Saraswati river, a controversy arose among them as to which of the three chief deities is supreme. Purport: the three chief deities mentioned here are Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna. Please join us in chanting Guru Pranati, the Mangalachan prayers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So, the great sages, many sages, including the Saptarishis, the 7 great sages of this universe, they also were at the bank of Saraswati, and this is where this arose. And it's very interesting that in the translation, word for word translation, where the reference is giving, it is said, Sarasvatyaha, of the river Saraswati. So why is it not used directly? The word Saraswati is not used because it is of the river Saraswati. That's why when we chant the Guru Pranati for Srila Prabhupada, so of Saraswati, like that reference is given, or who's Srila Prabhupada is a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada. So his name has Saraswati, so it becomes Saraswate. So this is also very important. And we keep reminding the devotees to pronounce Saraswate because it is the right way of pronouncing. We should make effort. Yet at the same time, devotees, they know that they are chanting, with that love. So Srila Prabhupada is so merciful, he still accepts it. So it reminds me of a past time where Srila Prabhupada, after the Guru Puja, all the disciples, they were chanting, all the devotees were chanting in the temple and they were saying, Gaura, Gaura, Gaura. So Srila Prabhupada was smiling, looking down, and he's like, you guys are, you all are calling me Go, so which is like cow. Yet he's so merciful, he understands that we are calling out for him. So, but yet at the same time, as disciples and grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we should make every effort to take to correct pronunciation. Once it just so happened that in Vrindavan, when Srila Prabhupada had gone, his white elephants, right, his disciples from America and Europe, at that time, various discourses were arranged and the devotees would go on chanting or Harinam, Nagar Sankirtan would happen, and then they would do Kirtan before Srila Prabhupada would give discourse on Srimadbhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita in Vrindavan. Once it just so happened that he asked Yamuna Mataji to sing, Brahma Samhita. And at that time, and it was incited by, an elderly Indian gentleman. He was saying that, do they know? So Srila Prabhupada said, why don't you sing Brahma Samhita? And at that time she was wondering, she only knows the first 5 verses. So she started singing. And when she started singing, as soon as she was done with the 5th verse, he said stop. And she was like so thankful. Srila Prabhupada, he knows our heart, And then the Indian gentleman, he said that, their pronunciation is all short. It's not good. But Srila Prabhupada responded back very proudly, glorifying his disciples. But their renunciation is perfect. And that is more important. Bhav Gahi Janardana. Lord Kṛṣṇa is Bhav Gahi Janardana. So of course, his, this bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession is also Bhav Gahi Janardana. He understands our heart. He knows what we have in our heart. And so he accepts us accordingly. And he blesses us accordingly. If we want to do any spiritual service, any devotional service we want to engage, we easily get, blessings from acharyas, from spiritual master, because they become happy when we want to glorify Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa becomes happy when we want to glorify his devotees and our spiritual masters and the Vaishnavas in disciplic succession. So it is very interesting that there is a win-win situation in the spiritual world and everything is an absolute platform. Everyone is looking from absolute perspective that it is for benefit of everyone. Similarly, when we read Srimadbhagavatam, when we study Srimadbhagavatam, when we discuss Lord Kṛṣṇa's glories and the supremacy of his glories, then of course the devotees become happy. So as Shukdev Goswami is narrating these pastimes, there are 2 important pastimes in this chapter. As he is narrating, Sutta Goswami in Namasharana later on, he is glorifying that this narration is nectarian coming out from the mouth of Shukdev Goswami. And it is so nectarian even for people who are new to Krishna consciousness, people who are innocent, because just by hearing this pastime, the delusion, the disease of delusion, the disease of forgetfulness that I am a spirit soul, Jivera Sarupaya, that I am a spirit soul and I am an eternal servant of Krishna. That disease is cured, it washes away. So that darkness goes away because of the light of this narration. Just because of the medicine, this narration acts like a medicine that this disease is immediately cured. And for devotees, it is nectarian, it is melodious, it reaffirms, us in our position as living entities, constantly inspiring us to engage in devotional service. So both ways, it's a win-win situation. If you are new to Krishna consciousness, you become encouraged. If you are, want to come to Krishna consciousness, or if you don't know about Krishna consciousness, then automatically by hearing this narration, your senses are purified and you want to know about Krishna, and immediately you realize that Lord Kṛṣṇa glories, they are supreme of all. And they start with the first pastime, with these great sages. And now Srila Sridhar Swami, he explains that these sages, they were performing this, sacrifice, satram. They were performing a sacrifice at the bank of Saraswati. And in this Vedic sacrifice, as they were performing to attain knowledge. And they had not yet become devotee. So this is very interesting, that they were not yet devotees. And they were looking at Brahman perspective, and they were always questioning. So a controversy arose. So some people were thinking that Lord Shiva is the greatest. Some were thinking Lord Brahma is the greatest. Some were thinking Lord Vishnu is the greatest. So at that time, they decided that somebody should be made charge to find out. And the person has to be strong enough that if a calamity comes, they should be able to endure it. Right? So after some discussion, they decided that, Sage Bhrigu, father of Shukracharya, he would go and he would inquire as to which of the three deities is the supreme, the chief, rulers, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Which of them is the supreme? Now, Sage Bhrigu, he realized that, tolerance is in the mode of goodness. And so whoever is more tolerant, that would be the criteria. So it's very important for us to set the criterion in this case, before we start to take on a task. What is the criteria of success? And here there is only one criterion, which is whoever is more tolerant. So Sage Bhrigu, with this in mind, he goes. Now interestingly, one of the questions that one of you asked, someone asked us, is we keep saying that actions can be performed in three ways: mind, body and words. Now this pastime actually reveals and supports this statement of the Shastras, that any action that we perform are carried out by mind, body and words. How? Let's go dive into it. So it just so happens that Sage Bhrigu, who's son of Brahma, right? He goes to Brahmalok and he directly enters, without paying obeisances, without glorifying his father, Lord Brahma. He just goes and he's there, just like, okay, I'm here. And looking at him, that he has not paid any obeisances, he had not respected his father, and he has not said any word of praise. He has completely, just came in and, okay, whatever. He's acting in this manner. So Lord Brahma, he becomes furious, he becomes angry. Yet at the same time, he, invoking his mode of goodness, he is able to pacify his anger. He's able to pacify himself. He is able to calm himself down. However, Sage Bhrigu sees that his father, Lord Brahma, had become angry. So that rage was visible on his face, that, the son of mine who has come in has literally insulted me by not paying obeisances, not recognizing me as his father, and, not even wishing me. He has just come in and, stood. So having realized that, Sage Bhrigu, he notices that his father became angry, yet at the same time he invoked the mode of goodness to be able to subdue his anger. Now, Acharyas explained this as just like from fire comes water. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So when even the creation happens, it is also given in the Shastras. So sometimes people were confused when we were saying that from ether comes air, from air comes fire, because air has oxygen and the fire invokes. And when hydrogen and oxygen mix in fire, water vapors are formed, which is water, at a high temperature in a vapor form. And from water, further earth develops. So here, from fire comes water, yet at the same time, water can be used to put out fire. And that's a simple way Acharyas explain that this mode of goodness is like water, and mode of passion leads to anger. Kamesha, krodhesha. So because there is this desire and expectation, it led to anger in Lord Brahma. And the water from mode of goodness that he was able to invoke, he was able to put water on the fire, thus subdue his anger. So very nice analogy given right there in the beginning. Sage Bhrigu notices, so here he has committed an offense through his mind. He did not, through his mind he did not recognize his father, but it was intentional. Then Bhrigu Muni, he goes to Kailash Parvat, where Lord Shiva is there with Parvati Devi and his sons. There he goes, and as soon as Sage Bhrigu enters, Kailash Parvat in the assembly where Lord Shiva is sitting with Goddess Parvati and many of his followers, Lord Shiva is seeing his brother Bhrigu Muni. He gets up from his asana and he comes forward to embrace him. And Bhrigu Muni, what does he say? He says, don't touch me. He's basically saying that you're covered with these ashes. Because at cremation grounds, there are offerings made to Lord Shiva, and there is ash flowing in the wind. So since Lord Shiva is taking that, and he also covers his body with ashes. He's an ascetic. What to say? Ascetics sometimes have ashes on their body. While the very meaning of Shiva is auspicious, pure. So seeing that his brother has refused to, embrace, has refused to hug him, Lord Shiva, he becomes angry at hearing this, and he picks up his trident. He's about to kill Sage Bhrigu. He's about to kill Sage Bhrigu. He's so angry. And at that time, Goddess Parvati, she immediately catches on to the feet of Lord Shiva, invoking the mode of goodness. She is Triguni, right? She is also referred to as material nature. And she is, she has this, she's the one who is driving mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Sattva guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. And so she is able to invoke that mode of goodness and, pacify Lord Shiva, just stop him before he kills Sage Bhrigu. So you can imagine, first of all, Sage Bhrigu has taken a very heavy task. He can lose his life and he can commit an offense which can cause him to, lead to very to be in very difficult situations. Sage Bhrigu is noticing all of this, that okay, Lord Shiva became very angry. He is thinking that because I asked him not to embrace me, not to touch me, he was so angry that he wants to kill me. And Goddess Parvati was able to subdue him, invoke that mode of goodness. The mode of goodness, it is possible to be able to control your senses. So Lord Shiva at that time, is able to control, and Sage Bhrigu just leaves from that assembly. Now he goes, so here the second offense has been committed by words. So he committed this offense against Lord Shiva using his words, calling him that you are not pure, you are not, clean, your body is covered with ashes, you are dirty, so I don't want you to touch me. So now he goes over to Vaikuntha, where Lord Vishnu, he is resting in the lap of goddess Lakshmi. So as he's resting, Sage Bhrigu comes. And what does he do? He goes there and he kicks at the chest of Lord Vishnu. So this is the third type of offense, right? From the body. So mind, Lord Brahma, words, with words he offends Lord Shiva, and with his body, by kicking at the chest of Lord Vishnu, he offends Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu immediately, it appears that he is sleeping, but he is always in Yog Nidra, right? He's meditating on his devotees and he's carrying out, maintaining the universe. So he immediately gets up, folding his hands. He, and seeing him, goddess Lakshmi, she, goddess of fortune, she is also folding her hands. And then Lord Vishnu, he says something that is very touching. Lord Vishnu says, "Oh, my dear great sages, oh Brāhmaṇa, we did not see you coming. So, please forgive us for this offense." So instead of taking an offense, he's showing us how he's finding a reason for us to take that there may be a shortcoming in our behavior and we should try to rectify it early on. So he's saying that, my chest is as strong as a thunderbolt and your feet are as soft as lotus petals. So by kicking, by hitting, your feet may have been hurt. And he's not saying in a joking manner, he's saying it with genuine humility, and with love and affection. And when he says this, it's not that he has just said it. Lord Vishnu takes the legs of Bhrigu Muni and he starts pressing them, massaging them. And Bhrigu Muni, seeing this reaction, seeing this response from Lord Vishnu, he is overwhelmed with emotions. His voice is choked, his tears are flowing, and he's feeling all ecstatic symptoms. His hair is standing on its ends, and he's feeling like how magnanimous Lord Vishnu is. And of course, it has all been arranged by Lord Vishnu. So he is surprised with this reaction, with this response he got. And so he goes back. Yet at the same time, Acharyas here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he elaborates, and in Kṛṣṇa book, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on this particular topic. There's sometimes Brahmanas in Kali Age, they think that they can, touch Lord Vishnu's chest with their feet, so they are superior, which is a great offense. It is nevertheless a great offense. And since Lord knew that Bhrigu Muni is doing this to find out who is supreme, and of course he is supreme, Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but at that time the sages did not know. So just to be able to clarify that position, he was, showing it. But he was genuinely showing that Brahmanas are my worshipable deities. Yet at the same time, I am Brahmanas worshipable deities. So it's a give and take. One of the interesting pastime in Ramayana is about Rameshwaram, right? When Lord Ramchandra at the, southern tip, where he was performing this puja of Lord Shiva, he calls Lord Shiva as Rameshwar, and the meaning from Lord Ram's perspective is that who is an Ishwar of Ram, that personality. So he's referring to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is reciprocating Rameshwar as, one's whose Ishwar is Lord Ram. So he is saying, yes, my Ishwar is Lord Ram. So yes, it is still Shiva, but the meaning has reversed. He is the worshipable deity. He is my worshipable deity. So such wonderful are the pastimes with Lord and his devotees. And we all know Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu. Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. So Bhrigu Muni, when he goes back, so again we should not think offensively. And also Acharyas explain that it is because of this incident and because Bhrigu Muni, he hits Lord Vishnu on his chest, and goddess of Lakshmi, she resides on his chest. She was the white curly hair in the middle of his chest. So and Lord Vishnu actually says that sometimes Lakshmi is chanchala. So sometimes she leaves me, to give benedictions to her, the devotees, to give attention to her, the devotees. Yet at the same time, by kicking my chest, you have purified my existence. My chest has been completely purified. And she would be very nicely reciting, stating that she would not leave anymore because you have purified my chest. When Goddess Lakshmi in this incident, she got offended. And so she is now not anymore benevolently disposed towards the Brahmanas. So generally, Acharyas say it is seen that the Brahmanas are poor, they are poverty stricken. While the pure devotees, on the other hand, are glorious and they are using everything that they get in the service of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Here, in this pastime, when Bhrigu Muni, Sage Bhrigu Muni, in this mood, realizing what he has experienced in Vaikuntha, he goes back to the bank of Saraswati, and there he meets all the sages who are waiting for him to respond. And he narrates this incident. So when he narrates, all the sages are astonished. They are stunned, they are dumbfounded. They couldn't believe the response they got. And after understanding this whole situation, they came to the understanding that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme. And so they were up to the level of Brahmanvadi at that time. This is where they become devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is none other than Vishnu, so Vishnu is an expansion of Kṛṣṇa. And Srila Prabhupada explains very simply that Kṛṣṇa at work is Vishnu, Kṛṣṇa at home is Kṛṣṇa in Vrindavan. So just like when we go to work, we have a different dress code, we have a different mannerism, we have a different level of interaction, because it's at work. We are performing our prescribed duties with respect to sustained manichromic development. While we come home, then we realize that we are with our family, we are more vulnerable, more open, we are more affectionate, we are more happy around, and we can allow our kids to ride on our shoulders and even say things without affection. They can say whatever they feel like, there is no offense taken and so forth. So it's a loving exchange at home. And understanding that all our family members are Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis purifies us a lot. Because then everyone is engaging in serving Lord Kṛṣṇa. Someone is playing mridanga, someone is playing kartal, someone is playing harmonium or keyboard, and we are all singing together. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in this pastime, it is very nicely given that of the three modes of material nature, it is in the mode of goodness, which is one can derive benefit. Srila Prabhupada explains that. And Lord Vishnu is responsible, he is the controller of the mode of goodness, while Rudra, Lord Shiva, is the controller of the mode of ignorance, and Lord Brahma is the controller of the mode of passion. Why was intolerance used? So it is also very important from a Brahmana's perspective that why did they use tolerance? Because tolerance is in the mode of goodness. And the various activities that a Brahmana performs is referring to that. There is a reference given in Bhagavad Gita, so just bear with me. In Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals the behavior, the characteristics of a Brahmana. Shamodamash tapa shacham shanti marjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. So Shama is peacefulness. A Brahman is peaceful by nature. Damaha is self-control, that he controls his senses so that they can be dovetailed in serving Lord Kṛṣṇa. They can be regulated in the very nature. And Shaucham, Shuchi, right? Purity, purification. So a Brahman seeks purification, is always pure, tries to keep the existence pure inside and outside. Taking baths on a regular basis as well as chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then comes Shanti. Shanti is tolerance. Tarurapi Saishana. Be more tolerant than the tree. And tree gives us flowers, fruits, branches, wood, and herbs, barks, and so many things. And shade, yes, to the travelers. So tree's life, if you see, is life of tolerance. It's standing there in heat and cold and all kind of hurricanes and torrential rains, thunderstorms, yet at the same time it's tolerating. So we should be more tolerant than the tree. That's the prescription given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that we can, in that mood, continue to engage in devotional service. Arjavam is honesty. Have simple dealings. No, confusing statements. Just keep it simple. Life is blissful when we are simple. And then, jnanam. We should always make endeavor. Brahmanas always make endeavor in acquiring knowledge. And most important is acquiring knowledge about Lord Kṛṣṇa. To be able to understand how great God is. Everyone knows God is great. But how great He is, that is where we need to understand, acquire knowledge, so that we can serve Him with love, with affection. We can serve Him with, understanding, with that realization. And that is vijnanam, realization. So jnanam, knowledge, is like, knowing the recipe of a nice dish. And then vijnan is like making the dish and then relishing it. So that is realization. Yes, how to make rasgulla, this is the recipe. But when you make that rasgulla and then you offer it to the Lordship and then eat as prasad, remnants of food, then you realize how wonderful it is. And especially when you offer it to Lord Kṛṣṇa, it becomes nectarian. Then astikyam is religiousness. Now in this chapter, Srila Prabhupada identifies religiousness is to know about dharma. Dharma is Vishnu dharma. So that is true dharma, because that's the dharma of the soul, not the dharma of the body. Dharma of the body is to carry out your prescribed duties, but all prescribed duties are based on the different varnas, the classes as well as the ashrams. Yet at the same time, there is a higher dharma, Vishnu dharma. So we engage in serving Lord Kṛṣṇa, anukulena Kṛṣṇa anushilanam, as Lord Kṛṣṇa desires, not with speculation. That's where knowledge comes in. So as Lord Kṛṣṇa desires, that is the way we should perform, our activities to please Him, anushilanam, following in the footsteps of acharyas, following in the footsteps of advanced Vaishnavas. So this is very important to understand. So these are the duties of a Brahmana. So here tolerance has been identified, and that is very important. Now even in the Western world, people realize how important tolerance is. So they have some very important aspects given. There is a famous author. She was blind and deaf. Imagine this. She was blind and deaf. Her name was Helen Keller. She said, the highest result of education is tolerance. So she clearly defines what is the purpose of education. The purpose of education is to develop tolerance. So the more tolerant you are, the more educated you are. That is also very important. And there is a subtle difference between training and tolerance. In Krishna consciousness, in the beginning we do a lot of training, right? Chanting of the holy name, Mangalati, 4:30 a.m., 5:15, you have Tulsi Aarti, then you have again Diti Darshan, and then we have Guru Puja and so forth. So based on those activities, we show our presence, we engage in different activities at the temple, and at home we do whatever we can to be as close to that schedule. When we engage in those activities, that is part of training. But when we understand the essence behind it, when we hear Srimadbhagavatam, when we read Srimadbhagavatam, when we study Srimadbhagavatam, when we read Bhagavad Gita, study Chaitanya Charitamrita, understanding these will enable us to get educated. And the education will enable us to become tolerant. And tolerance, how do you show it? It is shown by, controlling your senses, by subduing your senses. And it's not just for yourself, but also for others. There's a very nice story that there was this boy, he was in school. And sometimes children, they have accidents, right? So as he was sitting in the class, he didn't realize his bladder was full, and apparently, he happened to have, a small boy, not a big boy, like 6-7 year old. His bladder was full. He had taken, and because of the nervousness or whatever reason, he could not ask his teacher to be excused so he can go to the bathroom. So it just happened that, he happened to have urinated in that state and he was feeling embarrassed. But at that time, another girl who was, sitting right next, she had a bottle of water. She poured that bottle of water on him. So the teacher came and she chastised this girl. She punished this girl. She said, you should never do this. You should not make fun of others. You should not pour water on them like this. This is not a good behavior. And so after the class, the boy was very grateful for her. Why? Because she had saved him from embarrassment. In front of all the boys and girls, she had saved him. And she had tolerated that chastisement coming from the teacher. So she, in a difficult situation, everyone is tolerant for themselves. But in a difficult situation for someone else, how much are we tolerant to take on the chastisement towards us and save another person from embarrassing situation? That is a high level of tolerance. And we see that devotees, so many times they perform tolerance at that level. Like King Shibi, he was so tolerant that when, as a Kshatriya, he is charitable. So a sparrow comes saying, I have come in your shelter, please save me from this eagle. This is another than, Agni Dev and Indra, testing him. So he says, okay, you're saved. But eagle comes and says, but that's my natural food. You cannot deny me my natural food. King Shibi says, okay, then I'll give you equal amount of flesh. He says, but you cannot give someone else's flesh because you're the one giving shelter. So King Shibi said, okay, I'll give my flesh. So on one side of the weight, the bird is kept. On the other side, King Shibi, he cuts part of his body in the flesh and puts it on the weight. But bird is still heavier. He starts putting more weight and more weight. The bird is still heavier. And then finally King Shibi gets up and places himself on and ready to cut off his head. At that time they stop him, right? And then they say, we were just testing you, how charitable you are. So that is true tolerance. Now there is another very nice aspect. There is a subtle difference between tolerance and courage. That is also there. So this is given by Pastor Ralph W. Shockman. He says that test of courage comes when we are in minority. So when we are subdued, at that time we have to be courageous. When we have been suppressed by others. And test of tolerance comes when we are in majority. So when we are in majority, then test of tolerance comes. So here, King Shibi was in majority. He was in an opulent situation. So it was not courage that he was showing. It was tolerance that he was showing. And currently we see that so many, folks were, going to DC for George Floyd, who was a young man who was killed in brutality, and minority suppression was seen in this case, even in this age and this time, where everyone is understanding that all men are born equal. That's the constitution. That all men are born equal, yet at the same time, because of the color of skin, that distinction is still there. And knowingly and unknowingly, people, they still commit it. And sometimes they even reverse discrimination going on. So we see that all the time. Why? There's no need for it. Yet at the same time, test of tolerance is very important to understand, and it comes when we are in majority, not in minority. A minor person cannot be tolerant because they are suppressed, they are already suffering. They can be courageous. Tolerance comes when you are in majority and then you are accepting. Like the girl, she was tolerant to accept the chastisement from the teacher. While she was in majority, she was in no case going to get chastised, but she wanted to save this boy from embarrassment. So she, emptied her water bottle on him, making him all wet, and everyone was sympathetic with the boy, rather. And she was the one tolerant, not courageous. She was the one tolerant for taking the chastisement. So tolerance is tested when we are in authority. And with courage, it is tested further when we face oppression. So yes, tolerance can lead to the next stage of courage. But then we have to be in authority to show tolerance. And tolerance is reflection of love. Like we see in the case of King Shibi, he was showing love for his citizens. If somebody takes shelter of me as a Kshatriya, it is my responsibility to accept the one who has taken shelter as my citizen, and I will protect him. So as a matter of duty. Duty is very close to love, right? When it says below love, yes. So some people agree to do things because of fear. Some people do it as part of duty. And even higher is some people do it as part of love. And love is what keeps everyone connected together even when there is no reason. So people love, show their love for each other even when there is no reason to love or interact. And that is a true test of love. And it is to make sure that other living entity feels that how dear they are to our heart, how dear they are to Lord Kṛṣṇa, and how we are all in this together in this material world, looking at the same goal, to attain love of Godhead, to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa, to engage in his devotional service, to be grateful for this human life, to be grateful that we receive this intelligence, this blessing, so that we can cross over this Bhav Sagar, the ocean of this material nascence. So the more love, higher tolerance. And in this material world, mother's love is very close reflection of God's love for us. So even though we have turned our back to God, we have turned our back to Kṛṣṇa, and we have come to this material world to lord over this material energy, yet at the same time, Lord is so merciful that he expands himself as super soul, and he is in our heart, constantly waiting for us to be ready to hear him, to be ready to take to his instructions, to be ready to understand that he is our loving Father, he is our best well-wisher, he is our benefactor. He is waiting for us to give happiness that we are so hankering for, while we are going through so much misery in this material world. Janmittu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudashna. Birth, death, old age and disease, their constant repetition is leading to so many miseries. Yet at the same time, Lord is so merciful. So here we are hearing so much Acharyas giving us instructions how, in mode of goodness, as a controller, Lord Vishnu is the supreme. So they understand, the sages understand this pastime. We also hear from Acharyas as it is easy to create, it is easy to destroy, but the toughest part is to maintain it, right? So you made effort to, get something. And then after some time you also saw that whatever you got destroyed. So that is temporary nature of this world. Anything that takes birth dies. Anything that's built gets destroyed or dismantled. Yet what is important is the duration between the two times, which is maintenance. So if you have a car, then buying is not that difficult. Within a day you can do that. Getting it totaled and getting it destroyed is not that big a deal. Only an accident can take care of it, or in time it will fall apart. Yet it is the maintenance that is most important, and that requires the major effort. Discarding a car and then getting a car is not that major of an effort. It is the lifespan, during the lifespan, how to maintain the car is a major effort. Another example for parents is, giving birth to a child, yes, 9 months of, all this labor and so forth is there. Yet to make the child grow into a responsible effort, that is the main effort. That is where, our patience is tested. That is where our tolerance is tested. That is where our courage is tested. That is where our love is tested. How much do we love Kṛṣṇa? By showing how much we love each other. So we learn a lot of lessons during our life, and it is the maintenance that is nourishment and ensuring that everything is going well. So it is very important for us to understand that everything exists between the band. We cannot be on this extreme or that extreme. Everything has to be balanced. With extremes, I'm reminded of Srila Prabhupada's one of the incident described as when he was in Vrindavan with his disciples. There was another devotee who had come from America, and they were saying that this devotee had been chanting all day long, 64 rounds, and continued to chant more and more. So Srila Prabhupada was on his morning walk when he hears that he wants to chant. He's like, this is all frivolous. He wants to. It's not that he has love, right? So it was very clear to Srila Prabhupada that this devotee is looking for awe and reverence from others. So he said, no, it is all bogus. And then they were saying that he is even thinking of going and living under a tree, in the hole of a tree. And then Srila Prabhupada just discarded it. And in no time, people realized that that devotee, after a lot of chanting, when he didn't get the result, he did not get that awe and reverence, the respect he was looking for, he gave it up. And so acharyas can look through and through. It is very important for us to understand. And we have to also understand that our spiritual life, we need to regulate our life. Don't try to go to such an extreme that you cannot carry it out further. You're completely burnt out. And don't do it with the expectation. Don't do it with the expectation that, hey, only if I'm successful I'll do it. Or only if I have such conditions that I'll do it. So it is for us to learn to become more tolerant. Yet at the same time, the next step is courage, right? That you should be able to take that next step of, not just being tolerant, but be courageous in your activities. So when we go out for book distribution, many times people say things which are very hurting to heart. Yet at the same time, we understand that we are serving Lord Kṛṣṇa. And with that mood, we smile, we still stay respectful, we still, back out at times, just take a step back. And the interesting thing is, the same people who said harsh things, they come back to us and they say, can I have that Bhagavad Gita you were showing me? Because they are affected by the level of tolerance. And that's the measure of education. The whole world knows it in a subtle way. And we realize it, that not getting agitated by others, just by tolerating, by taking our position as humble servant of Lord Kṛṣṇa, rather servant of the servant of the servant. Once Srila Prabhupada, he was giving a discourse at a university, and he was talking about the 4 classes of man, Brāhmaṇa, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and how the administrative classes, Brahmanas, they are running all the administration. Doesn't matter which country this society is, every society has these 4 classes of man. Then there are, Brahmanas are, the scholarly people, Kshatriyas are the administrative class, Vaishyas are the mercantile people and also farmers, people who take care of cows, cattle and so forth. And Shudras are the one who serve all these 3 classes. And then one student very strongly asked him, so what class are you? Because he had also talked about Guru Tattva. So at that time, Srila Prabhupada, his disciples, they write that they could see the tears gleaming in his eyes when this question was asked. And he said, I'm the 5th class. I'm the servant of all these 4 classes. So now that is tolerance and that is humility. He is showing us. And Srila Prabhupada always stated that devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa, his disciples, are perfect gentlemen and ladies. So that is, his expectation of us, that we would be perfect gentlemen, perfect ladies in our behavior, in our dealing. And His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj gives a very nice statement in this regard. He says that deal with others in such a manner, I'm paraphrasing, that when you interact with someone, interact in this manner with this affirmation that the success of your spiritual life, your spiritual success, your spiritual life depends on this one interaction. So every interaction should be filled with love, should be filled with devotion, should be filled with happiness, with affection. We should be treating others, believing it, trusting in our heart that yes, they are also living entities. They are also devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And based on their different levels, right? Whether they are innocent or whether they are, near to Krishna consciousness, or whether they are at the same level as us, or if they are advanced, we deal them accordingly at the individual levels. But we deal with affection, with true realization, and with love. So again, that is very important. Now, as Srila Prabhupada, he continues to give commentary, Shukdev Goswami is narrating. After narrating this incident, he talked about the mode of goodness as how Lord Vishnu, who is maintaining the material universe, and maintaining of material universe takes the major effort. So Lord himself takes on that task. He doesn't give it to another living entity or to Shiva Tattva. So Shiva Tattva is, it's like a curd, while Vishnu Tattva is milk. So yes, once milk is converted into curd because of the, being with the tamarind, because of the mixing of the tamarind or acids. So it has become curd. Now curd cannot turn back to milk. So Shiv Tattva cannot go back to being Vishnu Tattva, yet at the same time Shiv Tattva is its own, quality or its own Tattva, truth. So here, and Lord Brahma is the first living entity, first Jiva Tattva in this material world. As he is describing, he describes, Shukdev Goswami continues to describe a pastime of Lord Kṛṣṇa in Dwarka. And Srila Sridhar Swami describes that this actually pastime happened before Battle of Kurukshetra. So at that time, Battle of Kurukshetra had not happened yet. So in this pastime it was given that there was this Brāhmaṇa, he was expecting from his pregnant wife, he was expecting that he would get a son, and as soon as the son was born, the son died. And so this Brāhmaṇa became upset. And as per the scriptures, this Brāhmaṇa, he took the body of his son at the gates of the palace of King Ugrasen, who was the king of Dwarka. He said that this king is not performing his prescribed duties. That's why my son is dead. And in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada explains that when a father has taken proper care, but even if the son dies, it is said because of the administrators, they have not carried out their duties properly. And in these times, we see that administrators, they do become, somewhat selfish and somewhat bewildered, deluded. So they do actions that can cause the death and calamities to fall on the citizens in their country. So with COVID-19, we have had so many examples. It is said, we were, just hearing some of the devotees yesterday as we were discussing about His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, just how wonderful he had been, what a magnanimous soul he has been. And they were saying one of the biggest mistakes that happened in India was after 3 weeks of lockdown, they ended the lockdown. And suddenly there was a huge surge in the spread of virus, and so many people were infected and so. And why did this happen? So some were sharing that it was because people were looking at it that our GDP is falling and economic development is not going on. The government is getting worried how would they run the government, and sometimes religious places, people get worried how would they maintain the religious places. So sometimes administrators take action without full knowledge because of the pressure they feel, and being deluded at times, it happens that they take steps which are actually harmful for the very people they are serving, and calamities fall on us. So this is where we have to be very, very careful, to understand the situation. And here this Brāhmaṇa was identifying that as per scriptures, he had been performing all his duties, but it must be the administrator. King Ugrasen is responsible, right? So if an officer of the government does not do an activity well, then it is the government who's blamed and the head of the government is blamed. That is simple relationship in the Shastra, because the person is a representative of the head of government. So as a representative, if the person is not knowledgeable and he mistreats someone, then of course it is escalated all the way to the head, and it is the responsibility of the head to make sure that the administration has been carried out justly, in the right manner, in the proper attitude, in the proper, based on the proper rules and regulations. So Brāhmaṇa is, saying such harsh words, he's saying, which is as per Shastras true. So what he's stating is he's quoting Shastras. And he said this Brāhmaṇa, he was lamenting and he was hurt, and he was calling out to King Ugrasen to rectify this mistake, to bring back his son back to life. And at that time, he left that corpse at the gates, and then he left, went back home. When his second son was about to born, right after birth, that son also died. So he bring the corpse of his son, and now it is said that he was lamenting and singing the song, right? Because when the heart cries out, Bahadur Shah Zafar said that the sweetest songs tell the saddest stories. So he was singing, his heart was crying out on the death of his second son, third son, fourth son. Every time his son was born, the son would die. And he would bring the corpse at the gates of King Kṛṣṇa and he would leave them singing this lamenting song of the death that he was feeling. And he was calling out that, King, you are not performing your prescribed duties. So on the ninth son's death, when he brings the corpse of his son, at that time, Arjuna was there. And he was surprised. So he said, isn't there a lowly Kshatriya who can, guard your hut with a bow and, with arrows? At that time, Brāhmaṇa says, when Lord Vasudeva, Lord Sankarsana, Lord Pradyumna, Lord Aniruddha, these are personalities of God, right? There's a personality of God. When they couldn't save my son, who are you? It's basically asking him, how could you even say that? Arjuna says, I am not Lord Sankarsana, I am not Lord Vasudeva, I am not Pradyumna or Aniruddha, I am Arjuna, beholder of Gandiva bow. So again, he is proud of that Gandiva bow that he had received, from Indradev through Varun Dev. So when he had satisfied, we talked about this earlier, when, at that time Arjuna even fought with Indra to allow Agnidev to eat the forest, the whole forest, Khandava forest, and so that the herbs can satisfy the, can cure the indigestion, the stomach of Agnidev, and that indigestion was caused because of the various sacrificial oblations that were made in the fire. So he is referring to this Gandiva bow, moon-like bow that was given to him, and who was the original owner of this bow? Varun Dev. So Brahman looks at him, he says, okay, he's a Kshatriya, and Arjuna makes a very strong statement that if I am not able to save your son, then I'll enter fire. I'll kill myself by entering fire. So that's a strong statement. So Brahmana, understanding that Arjuna is, taking on this vow, so I should respect it, he goes back. So when his 10th son was about to be born, he comes running, calls out to Arjuna, then my 10th son is about to take birth, please come and protect him. So Arjuna comes and he covers with his, and it's very interesting given. It's interesting, Shukdev Goswami is describing that Arjuna, he picks up his divine weapons, because he had also said that I have satisfied Lord Shiva with, in fight, and I received Pashupatastra. Pashupatastra is Lord Shiva's Pashupati, he is called, right? So Pashupatastra, he is meditating on the mantra, and he is, tactfully, Acharya has explained, he is very tactfully not paying obeisances to Lord Keshava, Lord Vasudeva, rather he is tactfully, remembering and bowing down to Lord Shiva, thinking that Lord Vasudeva couldn't save him, so how can he take shelter of Lord Vasudeva? Rather he would take shelter of Lord Shiva, who gave him Pashupatastra, which he is going to employ it in saving the life of the 10th son of this Brahmana. So he covers the hut of the Brahmana from above, from down, from all directions, all sides. And when the 10th son is born, suddenly it just vanishes. And Brahmana comes out, calling out that this Arjuna, who is calling himself Kshatriya, he could not protect my son. And Arjuna is shocked to hear that the son just vanished. This time it didn't die and the corpse was left behind. The whole body, the baby is gone, just as if it became invisible in the air. And now Arjuna, without further hearing what Brahmana is saying, Brahmana calls him with very harsh words, very hurting words, calling him eunuch and many other terms. Arjuna, he goes to Samyamani Puri, Yamlok. And then he could not find Brahmana's son there. Then he went to Indralok, he went to various planets he's going, Gandharva Lok, Satyalok, Janalok, various planets to the end of this universe, all 14 planetary systems he has visited. It is said, Acharyas revealed that he did not go to Kailash because he would not think that Lord Shiva, who he had accepted as Guru on this particular occasion, would take away the Brahman's son. So he did not check there, but he checked everywhere in this material universe, he couldn't find Brahmana's son. So at that time he started, he set up the pyre, and he was about to enter. And as he was about to enter the fire, Lord Kṛṣṇa comes. What does he say? He says, you don't have to do this, I'll show you where his sons are. And Arjuna is surprised. So at that time, Lord Kṛṣṇa, his divine chariot comes, Daruk, along, comes on the divine chariot of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And Lord Kṛṣṇa gets on this chariot with Arjuna. And now this chariot is heading west. Now sometimes people say, wait a minute, west, they get bewildered, right? Some of the current philosophers, per se, Maya, Pratyana is a common characteristic of that. They sometimes bewilder even the devotees by giving this logic. They rationalize things. Now understand, rational lies. So they are rational lies which are presented in the form of rationalization. They are not realizations. Real realizations are completely different, and the facts are completely different. Facts are actions as have been laid down again and again. So here, the chariot is going west, and then it crosses the material universe and is suddenly going to the dark regions. The 8 layers of material universe are being penetrated. And the 4 horses, Shabhya, Sugriva, Balaka and Meghapushpa, all those 4 horses, just because Lord is showing this human-like activities, the horses also show those human-like activities. Why it is said that? Because Brahman is the effulgence coming from the body of Lord Kṛṣṇa. But Lord Kṛṣṇa, he covers himself with his Yog Maya on this particular occasion so that it appeared that everyone is in darkness. Lord Kṛṣṇa is never in darkness, but he made it manifest in this manner. And it appears that it's in darkness and the horse is not able to direct. So at that time, Lord Kṛṣṇa invokes his Sudarshan and sends Sudarshan ahead of the horses. And Sudarshan glows with the effulgence of 10,000 suns. So everything is very nicely lighted and the chariot is able to go. Where do they go? They go to they see an ocean with huge waves. In the center of the ocean, there is Ananta Shesh with 1,000 hoods. And he is glowing, his effulgence is making everything bright. He's white in color with bluish neck and bluish tongues with 1,000 hoods. And the jewels, the monies on his hoods is also glittering, shining. And on this Ananta Sheshis, Lord Vishnu, he is in his 8-arm form, he is resting. And all his associates, all his potencies are in their personified form. So as persons, they are, they are there. And they are glorifying him, serving him. And at that time, Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Arjuna, they reach there and they get down from the chariot. And Lord Kṛṣṇa bows down to Lord Vishnu. And Arjuna also bows down to Lord Vishnu. So it is very interestingly given that Lord, in his daily activities, Lord Kṛṣṇa would meditate on himself because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that doesn't mean we should do that. Sometimes, people get bewildered and they say, so, if I am Brahmasmi, so I should meditate on myself because I'm Brahman. That is not the prescription as per the Shastras. So here Lord Kṛṣṇa is doing it to show Arjuna that, Lord Vishnu is there, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Vishnu, he wanted to say Kṛṣṇa. So now Acharyas explained that this is where Lord Vishnu is going to state in such a manner as if it appears that Lord Kṛṣṇa is his incarnation, but in reality, he is Lord Kṛṣṇa's incarnation. And to flatter Arjuna, he is going to say all this. So he says that, yes, it is very nice that you too are performing your activities as Narayan Rishi. So Lord Kṛṣṇa has also made a trick on this for Lord Vishnu. He is saying Narayan Rishi, but he wants to see Kṛṣṇa as will be revealed later on. So that's another the Shastras, Padma Purana, the place is referred. So here, they pay obeisances and Lord Vishnu says that please carry out your activities and when you are going back, please come back to me and send all these personalities that you are delivering to me, send them all to me. Acharyas explained that before going to the spiritual world, the path goes through Vaikuntha Loka. So all the living entities that are getting delivered, they would pass through this region. That's what he's referring to. But for Arjuna, it is appearing that all these living entities come and they reside in Vaikuntha. So here, the 10 sons of Brāhmaṇa, they are there, so they are just, as they were born in that state, they were there. So Lord Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, they get these 10 sons, get the blessings, and then the pure business, and they come back. So when they come back, Arjuna is surprised that Lord Kṛṣṇa could go to Vaikuntha. He showed him Vaikuntha. So all the potency in man is coming from Lord Kṛṣṇa. Paurusham Nishu. That's later on. Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals to Arjuna at the battlefield, right? When he speaks out the whole Bhagavad Gita. So when he is giving instruction, that is happening much later. But here the realization has come for Arjuna, and he has realized that Lord Kṛṣṇa is so magnanimous that he is the cause of all potency. And Shri Harivamsha, there is a very nice set of verses given, that Arjuna inquires that why did this happen? Why did Lord Vishnu take away the sons of a Brahman? Why would he put the sons of a Brahman in such distress? He was causing so much distress to a Brahman. Why would he do that? So Lord Kṛṣṇa at that time reveals that actually, he had to come himself. He couldn't have come himself because in Dwarka, none of his associates could come. So it is because Kṛṣṇa would not. If he wanted to see Kṛṣṇa, he could have seen Kṛṣṇa anywhere. But it must be Kṛṣṇa who is so powerful that even Lord Vishnu, who is expanding as Super Soul, cannot see Kṛṣṇa without his wish, without his desire, without his permission. So this is why he had to come himself to take the sons of a Brāhmaṇa, so that Lord Kṛṣṇa would come to save, to get back the sons of the Brāhmaṇa. So when he is inquiring from Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals to him that, if it was the case of Brahmana's son, he would have gone to retrieve the son on the very first time, right? The very first son when he was taken away by Lord Vishnu. He could have gotten him. But Lord Vishnu revealed that he wants to see Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa cannot be the incarnation of Vishnu, because why would someone wants to see their own expansion? They have access to their expansion. It is Kṛṣṇa whose expansion is Lord Vishnu. So here it is very nicely revealed. And in first canto, it is also revealed. Ete chams kalaha pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagwan swayam indrari vyakulam loke mrudayanti yuge yuge. So all these expansions and planetary expansions of Lord Kṛṣṇa are there. But Lord Kṛṣṇa is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he advanced to this material world again and again to annihilate and to subdue the enemies of Indrari, Vyakulam Loke, who cause all this, upheaval in this material world, just to satisfy that. And Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals to Arjuna that if that was the need, if I wanted to make sure, because Vishnu knew that, to satisfy a Brahman, Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha Jagad Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Knowing that I am a benefactor of the Brahmanas and of the cows, I take care of them. Knowing that Vishnu was taking away the sons of the Brahmana. But I did not go because it was not to save the sons of Brahmana or to satisfy the Brahmana I went there to save your life, Arjuna. Because you had put your life on the line, you are about to enter the fire. And as you are my very best friend, my devotee, and you are very dear to me, to save your life, I went there. So such, wonderful pastime is there of Lord Kṛṣṇa, where he is saying, Bhav Krijananda, how he takes care of his devotees, how glorious are his pastimes, and the supremacy of his pastimes, as we heard earlier from the examination, from the test that Sage Bhrigu did, that he is supreme among all three personalities, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Of them, Lord Vishnu is the supreme, and he is an expansion of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So that is being revealed, that it is to save Arjuna's life that Lord Kṛṣṇa went and retrieved Brāhmaṇa's sons. Because otherwise, if it was for the Brahman's sake, Lord would have done it after the very first son was born. He would have taken care of that. But also there is another lesson, that Arjuna understands that Lord Kṛṣṇa, he is such a wonderful personality, he is such a loving personality, that he takes care of his devotees, and especially at the time of distress. But why do distress come on devotees? It is to glorify his devotees that Lord Kṛṣṇa shows. Very nice example is given is sometimes when a newlywed daughter-in-law is at home, mother-in-law goes and sometimes, even for daughter-in-law's mistake, she chastises her daughter, so that the daughter-in-law comes to know of her mistake, so that she can rectify without feeling threatened in that situation, without feeling. So Lord Kṛṣṇa, he glorifies his devotees by putting them in tough situations, just to show the innocent public, right? People who are in forgetfulness, to glorify his devotees, yet at the same time to set example for future how devotees should behave and how wonderful Lord is. Sometimes from improper understanding, people think that Daityaraj, Bali Maharaj, he was sent to Sutalalok, he was pressed down as if by the third step of Lord Trivikrama. Lord Vaman, they've expanded in this giant form as Trivikrama. The 3 steps who had taken away everything from Bali Maharaj, including his very body, and sent him to Sutala planet. Well, Sutala planet was constructed on the instruction of Lord Kṛṣṇa by Vishwakarma. And that planet is more glorious, more opulent than Indralok. So what if Indra got his Indralok? First of all, he felt humiliated because his younger brother Upendra, Vamandev, received it as a charity from Bali Maharaj. Second is that Bali Maharaj has been given Sutala, which is even more glorious than Indralok. And on top of that, Vamandev became the gatekeeper at the gate of Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj, of course, he worships Vamandev. So that is the glorious form when the devotee is glorifying Lord and Lord is glorifying devotees. And further, devotees are always in this mood of das and udas, like servant of the servant of the servant, as Srila Prabhupada shows by his example. And all the acharyas and all the wonderful Vaishnavas, they show by their own examples as how we are constantly inclined to serve Vaishnavas, right? Vaishnava Seva, Namaruchi, Jiva Daya. Those are the 3 legs in this Kali age that can deliver us. It's revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then Shukdev Goswami, he continues to narrate to Parikshit Maharaj that Lord Kṛṣṇa employed Arjuna and all his devotees in annihilating so many kings. Now it is very interesting, Lord himself delivered so many kings, so many demons, relieving the burden of this earth, yet at the same time he employed his devotees to glorify them. And this is where the chapter ends, where wonderful supremacy of the glories of Lord Kṛṣṇa have been discussed, as how Lord Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, they retrieved the sons of the Brāhmaṇas, and how Sage Bhrigu establishes, using the test of tolerance, that Lord Vishnu is supreme and much higher and much more magnanimous than Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, yet at the same time drives Goddess Lakshmi, not so favorably towards the Brahmanas. So Brahmanas generally seen to be poor because of that. But that is a material quality. The real wealth is the spiritual wealth in devotional service. Once I was driving to work and I saw this big sticker in the back of a small car, really small car. Hardly one person could sit. There are some of those cars there on the road. And it says, "Don't let my car fool you. My wealth is in the spiritual world, in the kingdom of God." So it was very impressive that this is where the wealth should be developed. And how do you develop it? For praying for it first. Just by raising our hands and calling out, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, this is where the chapter ends. Let's offer prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. Granth Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Bhakta Vinashim Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.